We are an hour and 52 minutes until the main party leaders face off in the only televised English language leaders debate of this election. As we await the arrival of those leaders, we're reminded that debates are a high-stakes opportunity for leaders to present their case to Canadians. So how do you prepare for something like this? Let's go to our experts. Jenny Byrne, who has worked with former Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Ontario Premier Doug Ford. She's now the CEO of Jenny Byrne and Associates. She's in Bracebridge, Ontario. Tim Murphy worked with former Prime Minister Paul Martin and former Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne. He's now an executive partner at Macmillan LLP, and he is in La Conception in Quebec. Brad Levine was in former NDP leader Jack Layton and Thomas Mulcair's corners, now a partner at Council of Public Affairs, and he's in Toronto. Jenny, starting with you, French debate was last night, English won tonight. Are the stakes higher or different compared to last night?
I think they're a little bit higher and they're a little bit different. This will be Aaron's first debate in English, so his mother tongue. He held his own in the French debate, got through it pretty unscathed, and so the expectations are going to be on him to perform tonight. And the same as what I think they're going to be on Jagmeet Singh as well.
All right, Brad, speaking about Jagmeet Singh, give us a sense of what the expectations would be for him, but also how you prepare for something like this as a leader. They've spent days, well, weeks preparing for this moment, but what are you now doing in the zone?
Yeah, that's right. This is the most important time. Clearly, you don't start just as the campaign shut down a day or two before the first debate. Debate prep for me is an extension of the strategy. So if you've got a solid strategy, then the debate, both French and English, are places where you're executing that strategy. You're going to look at the players, those who have been invited to participate in that debate. You're going to look at the format. The format is vital. Like with whom do you have one-on-ones, and the topics. And the real thing that I took away from, I think I did five federal election debate preps, is you take your zingers and you look at who are your opponent's most vulnerable situation. If you take a look at the topics for tonight, I quite like the topics for tonight for Jagmeet Singh. Things like affordability, reconciliation, post-COVID recovery, leadership and accountability. Those are good issues for Singh. So that's going to help because not only does Singh have a lot to say about those particular topics, but he also has lots of ammunition to hit against Trudeau. To say nothing of the other opposition leaders, but obviously Trudeau, the incumbent, there's going to be lots there. So he's got lots of opportunities today, even if he's going one-on-one. So you look at the format and you go one-on-one with Annemie Paul or with Blanchette. Doesn't matter. You can use those opportunities to take a hit against Trudeau if he is, and I believe he is the number one target for that. And you're hoping for those clips, because not all Canadians watch the debate, but a lot of Canadians hear about the debate in the ensuing days. So if you ask any one of us who won the debate, don't ask us at 11 o'clock Eastern tonight. Ask us in 72 hours.
Yeah, because a lot of people will end up watching it, for instance, on social media, and they may just be watching very small clips. It may have to do with policy, or it may really just be a zinger. So, Tim, how do you come up with a good one of those?
Well, that is the magic sauce. It is, though. I think it's frankly, I think that can be overemphasized a bit. At the end of the day, I think there are two audiences for a debate, and one of them is the people who are looking for zingers, the partisans, the journalists, who tend to actually view these as debates. And then the second audience are real voters who actually, for them, it's not a debate per se. What they're tuning in is to say, which of these leaders do I trust to kind of run this country? Have they got values like I have? Are they motivated in a way that I trust? And that's a different message if they don't really care about zingers. They like passion, but they don't like anger. They don't like discourtesy. And zingers are kind of like, yeah, okay. And to be honest with you, you've seen, if zingers were the thing and holding prime ministers accountable were what debates were all about, no prime minister would ever win a debate because they all have records they have to defend, and yet they've all, many number of them have done very well. So I look at this as an exercise in saying, communicating to the real voter first, and then secondly, if you can do that in a way that contrasts with your opponent on issues that are driving votes to you, then you're starting to have a real win.
Jenny, walk me through some of the dynamics that are behind those podiums tonight, because you have the federal party leaders, almost all of them are men. There's one woman, a black woman, Annamie Paul, Jagmeet Singh, the first leader of a major party to be from a racialized background. What are some of the dynamics at play in terms of what needs to be said, what needs to be watched?
Well, I think all the leaders, the issue with this election is for all of the leaders standing on the stage, there is very little enthusiasm among the Canadian public to vote for any of them. This is their last chance to speak to English Canada in terms of getting their message out at a giant forum in prime time. But there's not a lot of enthusiasm. We've seen it with the changing of the polls. We've seen not a lot of movement. And as a ground organizer at heart, tomorrow is the start of advanced polls, which is extremely important for all parties. It should almost be the focus of campaign workers. So to all you conservative campaign workers out there, please don't watch the debate tonight. Just worry about getting ready to get your vote out over the course of the weekend for advanced polls. And so I think what these leaders have to do is give some enthusiasm, remind people that are in their voter universe as to why they should go out and vote for them.
Yeah, Brad, to that point, Jagmeet Singh is going and voting during the advanced polls and encouraging everybody else to come and join him. How much of this can get decided, particularly during COVID, when some people may be looking for alternatives to the main election day? How much gets locked in in these earlier days?
Yeah, well, I would say that this one, if we take a look at some of the provincial elections, clearly more Canadians are going to vote by mail, or at least it's expected to, if the public domain research is borne out. But lots of Canadians are going to be voting by mail. Lots of Canadians are going to see, if I vote in advance, is it going to be quick? Will it be crowds, etc.? So this campaign is actually quite truncated, right? So Trudeau picked the shortest possible window between the drawing up of the writ and election day, 36 days. So Canadians, usually there's a break maybe in the last week, last 72 hours. You can see a break roughly where a trend line begins and takes off and then holds on election day. This time, that trend line has to start way in advance because of the mail-in ballots and because of the COVID. So here we are. We still have 9-10 days left. Now we're making the final closing arguments tonight in the English language debate because it's the last. But people they're going to be telling people to get out and vote starting tomorrow. That's going to have a hard. So everyone's GOTV, everyone's get out the vote is going to be going like gangbusters. And the proof we'll find out after election day as to how many Canadians voted in advance and by mail. But the trick there is that as the votes are getting locked in earlier, it's going to be harder for parties in the last dying hours of the campaign to say, you better vote for me in order to stop so-and-so, because people will have already said, well, I've already cast my vote. Mm-hmm. It's too late to do that. So the dynamic in this election is going to be a little bit different from say 2019 or 2015 when we didn't have such truncated campaign spacing.
Okay, minute left here. Tim, campaigns are able to target voters so very easily now, send this message about this topic to this particular person and do a different thing to different voters. A debate is a much more blunt instrument. How do you figure out what the average voter is when you look at who's watching the debates?
Well, to be honest, no leader is talking to an average voter. They're talking to a pool of voters they think they can move to them. And, that can be 3 or 4%, frankly, because you're hoping by the time you're in the debate, you've got a pretty committed pool, and then you've got a group beyond that. And you're really trying to say, okay, I need 3 or 4%. What are the issues that move them? Where am I getting them from? And then I have to speak to those people around the issues that move them. And sometimes it's framing who you are against who your opponent is, and sometimes you add some issues to that, like $10 a day childcare, and Aaron O'Toole's going to get rid of it, and climate change need action, and Aaron O'Toole's going to get rid of it. So you speak to voters who are motivated by that, not to the average voter.
All right. Jenny, Tim, Brad, thanks very much. Unfortunately, out of time. Lots more we could have done with this. Appreciate your time, and we'll see what happens.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.